every time I hit with this device, I am blown away by how good my contact gets. That was a 169 yard 7-iron that landed 2 or 3 inches from the pin, absolutely out the center of the club face. That does not get any better than that. Today I'm going to share with you the one drill that every single golfer can benefit from, whether you're a beginner golfer all the way through to professional player. For some of you, you'll have seen this drill before on my channel, but today I'm going to go into more detail, discuss how you can progress through the levels of this drill and take it from the most basic form all the way through to a swing that you can use on the golf course. And of course, as it's holiday weekend, I'm going to have a great Black Friday promotion for you that you're not going to want to miss, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video to see what that looks like. So the exercise or drill that you need is the hit hard, stop quick drill. Yes, I've spoken about this before, but today I'm going to go into more detail as to how you build this up from the ground, from the most basic version of this exercise, and begin to add more speed to the point where you could use this exercise and this drill when you play. Let's quickly discuss why this drill is so good and what it helps to train, and then maybe discuss a couple of the limitations of it that some of you might experience before showing you how to overcome those limitations and, as I say, use this on the golf course. The function of the golf swing is to first and foremost control contact. We've talked about that countless times, controlling the low point of the swing, making sure as you come into impact that you hit the ball first and the ground second. That's something that every good golfer is doing, and those of you that are struggling and frustrated are finding it hard to control that skill. And one of the main reasons this is so hard is because as you swing this club around you in an attempt to create some power, you start to change the radius of the arc, the radius of the stroke. And so bringing this club back to the intended point where you want it is quite difficult. If we think about the most basic form of the swing, we'd probably talk about a putt, and the putter doesn't move very far and there's very little change in the arm and the wrist structure. This is the most basic shot you could possibly hit, and the contact is pretty much guaranteed. Hopefully you're not hitting too many of your putts fat or thin, but then we start to build upon that. We need more power to play golf. You can't play golf if I'm rolling the ball 10 feet in front of me every single time I play. So the function of the swing moves from simply being about controlling contact, which if you don't need too much power is pretty straightforward, to a point where we need to control contact and we need to produce sufficient power to be able to play the golf course. I need to reduce the length of this hole that I'm about to play so that I'm able to reach the green in the fewest number of strokes. It's going to allow me to shoot a good score. So good golf swings consist of the ability to control the contact and at the same time the ability to create sufficient power. So enter the hit hard, stop quick drill. Why is this so good? Well, because in its most basic form, it's teaching you to swing with your arms pretty much straight throughout the entirety of the swing. Said another way, I'm changing this radius as little as possible. I'm not introducing too much wrist flex or roll. I'm certainly not trying to introduce too much arm bending. So the most basic version of this drill, hitting hard, stopping quickly with my arms straight, should produce pretty consistent outcome when it comes to strike. Pretty solid contact right there. That's the most basic form of this drill, and that's where you should start. If you're a beginner golfer or someone who's struggling to make any sort of consistent contact, you should begin with the most basic form of this drill. Just as I demonstrated there, we're going to keep the arms straight, we're going to have the shaft leaning a little bit forwards, and as we swing back and as we swing through, we do so without consciously changing any of the wrist angles or any of the arm flex. This is going to stay pretty constant, and we're going to turn back and turn through, all of the time keeping our weight moving towards the target. That is the very first piece of hit hard, stop quick. There's a lot of people that do quite well with that version of the drill, but as they try to add power, they begin to lose this structure in their arms and the wrist. They lack the ability to control what's going on. So in order to do that, I'm going to share with you a training aid that I really like to use, which helps to train the correct wrist angles and allows you to move to the next level of this drill. So this device from Pure Swing Products is called the Precision Impact Training Aid. Again, something I've featured on the channel before. I actually wish I could play with this thing on. I tell you, that one's absolutely perfect. 171 yard 7-iron, landed 2 feet from the pin. It doesn't get any better than that. And the guys have been kind enough to offer us a special Thanksgiving promo that I'm going to leave down in the description at the end of this video. But this training aid is designed to help you train the correct wrist angles through the ball, and I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit. For those of you that haven't seen this before, it attaches to your trail hand like so with a couple of straps. It's very simple to attach, very comfortable. And then the device has this clicking mechanism at the back here where if I bend my wrist backwards, so I move my trail wrist here into this extended condition, so I'm going to bend my wrist backwards, you'll hear that clicking of the mechanism here in the back of the device. That's going to help me to, number one, load my wrists in the backswing in a way that's desirable, so begin to generate or produce some of that power that we want to add to the stroke. So bending my wrist back is a potential power source. And then secondly, what it allows is as you bend the wrist backwards and you hear that clicking, you're locking that angle into place. And that trail wrist bend is extremely desirable if you want to achieve good impact conditions. So now I can begin to swing faster. Using this device is going to help me to maintain and learn the correct wrist angles, and I can begin to increase the speed with which I swing and increase the distance I hit the ball. So the next level of this drill would be full backswing. Hopefully you heard the clicking there. Now my wrist is in place. Then I'm going to try to hit this golf ball, and because my wrist is being maintained in this impact fixed location with the trail wrist bent back, I'm going to hit this ball as hard as I can, and I'm going to stop the swing as fast as I can. So I'm going to stop as soon as I've hit the ball and have a little bit of this recoil of the club coming back towards impact. Let me show you what that looks like. So that was really nicely struck. Pulled the ball slightly to the left. That carried 155 yards. This is a 7-iron. That's not quite at full speed or full stretch just yet, but that was decent contact. So now I'm moving from an exercise where you saw the basic form of this drill a second ago, which was more of a extended chip shot really. You're building from a small chipping swing out to something longer and gradually building it up. My initial shot flew 80-90 yards. This one's gone 155 through the air. I'm getting pretty close pretty quickly to full speed, and this is the progression that you want to look for. You go from just making those no wrist, no arm sort of swings where everything feels quite controlled. That's going to teach you the consistency of contact. Then you need to add the power. Okay, you can't play golf just chipping the ball around the golf course, or if you choose to, you're going to shoot 150. So you need to learn to create power without compromising the geometry of the stroke, which would affect the way you strike the ball. One more time, hit hard, stop quick, with a little bit of pull back at the end here. This stopping of the hands is helping to transfer the energy from my body to my arms, to the club, out to the club head, and ultimately into the ball. It's the stopping that helps to produce the power. There's very few people who understand that when I first share this drill with them. They don't understand why it works. It's the transfer of energy. Think about cracking a whip and how you would stop as you crack the whip. You would break your hand, you would stop the movement to get the transfer of the energy out into the whip, and the crack happen at the end of the whip itself. That's so similar to what we're doing here. Too many of you are swinging and not transferring any energy. You're turning everything at the same rate. We need to learn to slow this down to allow the club and the club head to swing fast and into the ball. So this is the next progression. Hit hard, stop quick, full backswing. You're going to hear the wrist loading, with the precision impact training aid, and then we're going to stop immediately after impact. That one came off even nicer. That one's landed at, okay, 159, tiny bit further, very straight shot, and again, excellent contact. So what I'm learning to do here, which is the key, is I'm building up from the most basic movement, which is just controlling contact primarily, and now I'm adding speed and distance to my stroke. So for most of you, that's the version of the drill that you're going to need to spend the most of your time doing, making full back swings, but stopping the swing much sooner than you think you need to, while at the same time retaining the vast majority, if not all, of your regular distance. You should be able to get that swing and that ball to fly 90% at least of your full swing distance. And then how do we play golf? Well, I'm going to show you that wearing this thing and practicing with this thing is, for me, the holy grail. I get so much out of using this device. It stops me from my dangerous flipping and rolling of the club, which makes me prone to hooking the golf ball. So I think to progress from the intermediate version of this drill, which is the stopping quick and the pulling back, we can actually go ahead and hit hard and stop fast and just allow ourselves to go that little bit further into the follow through. The other great thing about this device is that as the wrist is locked in place, the motion that it's free to move in is this up and down motion. So this hinging up and down of the wrist, this radial deviation up, back towards you. And that helps to maintain some face control. If you notice, when I radially deviate the wrist or move it upwards, if I cock my wrist up towards me, you see how the club face stays fairly square there. It doesn't roll and close. And so that movement wearing this device, as I hit hard, I can't roll my wrist closed, which is the flipping and the mistake that so many of you are making. I can hit hard, I can rehinge my wrist upwards, creating this kind of 90-degree angle in the end of my swing here between my arms and the shaft, and get everything I need in terms of power transfer and production into the ball. So this would be certainly a full enough finish to hit the ball as far as I'd ever want to. The feeling I get in the release as I swing further through is that upward hinging that I was just describing, and that's the piece I haven't really shared before. It's a totally different release point to what I ever thought it should be when I first started playing the game. And as I teach more and more and understand how the wrists are so influential, not just in power production, but also in controlling the club face, which ultimately is controlling the direction of your shot, that upward cocking, that recocking of the wrist upwards in the follow through was an absolute game changer for me as a player. And I've seen it help so many students to get that control element back into their game that they lose. They hit good shots, you're all capable of hitting good shots, but those bad ones, those real bad ones, creep in far too often. So this takes us from the most basic movement to knowing how to be more advanced in loading in the backswing, controlling those wrist angles at impact, and then the advanced version of this drill, as I say, is putting all of that together, and then in the follow through, adding in the rehinge where the wrist cocks upwards and we have the arms and the club at this 90-degree angle. I really love hitting with this thing on. The contact feels so good. The distance is 176 yards. This is my 7-iron. I could just stand here and practice with this thing on all day, and I've toyed with the idea of playing with it once or twice. I'm not sure my playing partners would allow it. Let's go again. So full wrist set on the backswing here for the click. You just release with a small touch here of the plastic strip at the back, just releases the wrist back to its normal condition. Full load on the backswing, and then stopping in the finish of this 90-degree rehinge. Full speed. That one was a touch thin, wasn't quite as good as the others, But again, I'm getting that sensation in the follow through of the upward rehinging, which for me is the game changer and the thing that takes this drill from being just a chipping drill or purely a contact building drill into the power production, power transfer and control of the golf ball's curve that allows you to take this onto the golf course and elevate your game to somewhere it's never been before. So there you have the one drill that everybody can do. Whether you're a brand new beginner golfer, this can help train that radius control, the basic wrist angles and good contact, or a professional player like myself who plays irregularly now but uses this exercise and this training aid so often with so many benefits. And this holiday weekend, our friends at Precision Impact Golf have given us a special discount code, which is HHSQ, Hit Hard Stop Quick. If you use that code and click on the link that's down in the description, you'll get $25 off this product and an extended 120-day warranty. There is no risk to trying this thing, and I promise you it's the best training aid that I've come across in a long time. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, do go ahead and hit that like button and do consider subscribing to the channel if you want more golf related content. There's tons more videos, including other Hit Hard Stop Quick videos that I've made. And this one right here talks about whether or not you can do hit hard, stop quick with the driver. And well, if you want to know the answer to that, you're going to go and have to watch this one right now.